Well, hello. Hi, all the Pega enthusiasts. So it's a wrap of 10 days of our sessions, and now I want to give a quick highlight of what we have completed so far. To do that, I am going to walk through what we have completed. Right now, I am into the base installation of 8.7.3, 8.7 to be more accurate. And then inside that, I want to create an application because that's where we started. To create a new application, I come here on the application wizard, click on new application, right? And then I say build from scratch. And this is going to be a auto insurance application. So I want to call my insurance application as Alpha Insurance. Okay. And then I will say, I click on advanced configuration to figure out if the name is coming accurate. So the application ID is perfect. This is going to be a framework on top of which I will be building my auto insurance application. I'll rename this to Alpha because Pega has given me some junk characters. If I move from this tab, the organization should get popped up because the organization name has to be Alpha. And the class structure also got populated alpha hyphen FW hyphen alpha insurance hyphen work will be my class structure. This looks good. Now I'll click save. And then I will say create application. What this will do, this will build my framework application on top of which I want to build my insurance auto insurance application. Once that is done, you will see a congratulations message telling Alpha Insurance has been configured and now you're ready to use. Let me create a user here. I'll call it admin at Alpha and I'll say add. So this will help you log into your application. Instead of using administrator@pega.com, you can use this as your login user. I'll take the note of this password because this is what I'll be using to log in, right? Let me see if I was able to copy that. Okay, perfect. I have copied it. Now I will log off and then I will log in with that Alpha and then I'll give the password. Perfect. Now I was able to log in. You will see this error. It's because it's pointing to this thing. You just have to modify the URL. Just remove it, tell the app, hit enter and say admin at Alpha and say paste the same password. You should be through. Oh, hold on. That's good that we are getting this error. So PR web, I think it should take you through. Perfect. Now it will prompt you to change the password. Why that was happening is because the URL was pointing to the base Pega platform application. If you see, now the URL is pointing to prep-app-alpha-insurance. So you just have to remove the last characters and retry. The current password is this. I want to put new password, rules. Perfect. Change password. Now I should be into the Alpha Insurance application, which is my framework, right? On top of which I'll be building my auto insurance application, if that makes sense. So we were able to successfully log in into our framework applications, which is Alpha Insurance. And from this, I want to go into auto insurance application, which I'll be doing now. So it by default takes you into the App Studio. Let's switch to, once the login goes through, I'll switch into the Dev Studio. From there, I want to create a auto insurance application. As we discussed, App Studio is for business analysts. Developers will be using Developer Studio predominantly for all their requirements. That's what we will be focusing on. So we are on App Studio. I want to move from App Studio to Dev Studio. I'll do it from here. I want to switch to Dev Studio because I want to create the implementation application on top of my framework. So I moved to App Studio. From App Studio I move to Dev Studio, and then from here I'll click on the application drop down here, and I'll say I want to create a new application, and I'll call that Alpha Auto Insurance. So I'm going to create a new application from here, right? And I want to call it Alpha Auto Insurance. Build from scratch. It's going to ask you, do you want to build it from scratch? No, I don't want to build it from scratch. I do have my base application, which is Alpha Insurance. From here, I want to use build on top of Alpha Insurance, right? And then it will ask me what will be the name of the application. Are there any case types? No, say just continue. Continue, and then you name this Alpha Auto Insurance, right? And then click on advanced configuration, and you'll see Alpha Auto will be your implementation application, right? And the organization is Alpha here. Application is Alpha Auto. Perfect. This looks good. Save this. So, okay, perfect. I'll click create application. This should create the application for me. And I'll be using the same admin at Alpha user to proceed ahead. And so I do have the users. I'll say, okay, let's go to the app. See, it tells congratulations, Alpha Auto Insurance has been configured as ready for use, which is the message which I was expecting as usual. Now I'll be pointing to Alpha Auto Insurance. Let's jump to Alpha Auto Insurance. Let me go to the Dev Studio. Right, and then from Dev Studio, the first thing I want to focus on is the data model part. So we do have the upper header bar, which has application drop down and stuff, the left side explorer, which will help you navigate to the rules, and then the bottom, which will have some debugging options, which we have seen. You'll see in my classes in my YouTube list. So right now let's just focus on how to design, how to add properties to this particular application which we have created. This is a very quick brief understanding of last 10 classes, so if someone has not caught up, they can just watch this and know what exactly was being done, right? Close this, and then I'm clicking on app. It just has to load. It's taking this few minutes. Let me check the records first then. Perfect. Now we are into the system, and then let me go to app. So I see that my work class is populating here, alpha auto hyphen work, and then the class which it belongs to is also something which got created here. Perfect. By right clicking on this, I can create a lot of stuff. All the categories of rules I can create from here. I want to start right now with creating the data model. So I will say I want to create properties. You can do it from here, or also what you can do, you can go to view in data designer, right? And then from here also you can create the properties. I just did view the data designer, right clicking on this, and I clicked view the data designer. This should give me the list of properties which are available in this particular environment. So how did I reach here? Right clicking on this thing, and I told view the data designer. Once you are here, you can create as many properties you want. So let's say we want to capture customer details. The necessary properties can be added by clicking here, add field. On the view data designer, you will get this screen, and you can add as many properties as you want. So let's say first name of the user. If you want to add multiple properties, you can just do submit and add another, right? See, it was added. I want to add a last name. I'll say L name, and then I'll say add another, and I'll say age has to be an integer value, so I can change the data type from this particular drop down. I click on this and I say integer, which is this, right? And I want to add another. I also want to take his email, right? And that also can be found. It's also data type in Pega. You can just click on the drop down here, choose email, and you can also add something called as phone number, right? And then that also is something, a data type within Pega. You can just look for PC phone, perfect. And you also want to add the city which he belongs to, and then you would say this has to be a pick list. It has to be a list from which you can pick, say pick list, and then you can say what choices you want. City can be, you know, Bangalore, and say just some normal values, uh, Hyderabad, and let's say Chennai, just to show you how exactly you can add a pick list. City, okay, and then I can also add something called as state, right? And then I can say this also has to be a pick list, right? You're going to pick one value from a list, so you say pick list, and then you say okay, and then you can say KA and say Telangana state, and then say Tamil Nadu, okay, and say okay, state is done. Let's say I'll also add a drop down for country, and then I will say the country has to be also a pick list, right? See how easily you can add a list of values in Pega, right? Pick list, and then you say it is India, and you say Australia, and you say USA. Perfect. So we are done with these many values which we needed. We added these, and then let's say we also add a gender, right? Gender is something which you want to pick from a given list. So I will say um, let's, do we have a checkbox? No. uh, it has to be one option, right? Radio button. No, we don't have anything like that, so let's keep it as uh, boolean, you know, true or false, and then we'll see what we can do about it. Okay, let's submit this thing for now, and you will see once you refresh, you will see all these properties getting popped up here. Let's say we want to save this. These are the properties which we created. Let's say let's save this, right? And then next thing is just come and refresh this particular work class to see, you know, there's a new category popping up here which will show you the data model. See, this data model will have all the properties which you created. The next piece I want to take your attention to is how to create a UI rule, which is section, right? Come to user interface category, click on section, right? Let's call this as customer details section. Okay, this is a section where we want to design our UI. It goes into auto insurance application under the work class, create and open. Perfect. Once this opens, you will have to change it to, you know, in a designer mode so that you can add different layouts and properties. So what is section? Section is something which will contain your properties. These properties which you created go on this particular section. Just taking a little time. Perfect. So once you come into the section, there is a button to convert this to a full section editor. Click on that and you'll get this pop-up to confirm that, say submit. Now this will enable this particular area to become a full section editor where you can drag and drop layouts, properties, and stuff like that. We'll see what we can do here, right? What I want to do first is, if you see, there is a layout automatically existing here. I want to click on this thing, change this thing to check the configuration of this particular layout. You can click here, right? And then this will pop you up what exactly the configuration is present for this particular layout, right? It is stacked. So what I want to do, I want to choose other, and I want to say stacked with labels left. Okay, and then I want to have a header for this thing. I will call this customer details. This is a header which will come against that particular table. Okay, I'll say submit, and then what I'll do, I'll try to drag another dynamic layout into this thing. Okay, perfect. I'll keep it on default. Now see the magic. I do have my section ready. I need to pop up properties here. How will I do it? Just drag first name. I want my last name. Sorry. Delete it, and then let me drop it below it. Sorry. See, these are a few things which we'll be learning. So let's undo this thing, and then let's start from fresh. Just first name, right? And then let's have some issue with my mouse. Last name. Okay, let's move it later. Don't worry. So I have the age property, right? And I also have email. I do have email, and then there is gender, and I do have city, and I do have state, and I do have country. Okay, this is how I'll be able to add properties to a section. The next piece which we'll be focusing on is how can I pull this section onto a flow action. That can be done again the same way. Right click on the work class, right, and then say under the process category you can find something called as flow action. The section you have created will go under a flow action. I'll call this customer details FA. Flow action is something which will hold the sections. Okay, same thing under auto insurance, work, create and open. Now I see that the flow action got populated and I'm getting a section pop up here. Here I can choose customer details. Is this the section which we created? Yes, right. We just created this section. So this is how we can map one trajectory, in the sense we created the application, created the properties, mapped it to a section, and then we were able to pull it off onto a flow action. The next piece we'll be focusing on will be flow. Before that, let's try to modify this section to look slightly prettier. Okay, let's try to move this slightly above. First name has to come above, and if you see the gender, it's coming like this. I don't want it like this. Click on this thing, you will get the settings for this thing. Here you can change this particular property to pick up, we can change this particular property to pick up values. For example, we want radio buttons there, where we can have only male or female. See, this is how it will appear. So I changed the control from here, from checkbox to radio button. Okay, click on this thing and you'll be able to do it. Say submit. You'll see that it is giving you options. Why is it giving me options? Because the property type of this particular gender is boolean. So if I don't want that, what I can do, I can just open that property. Okay, and if you see, it is set to true false, which is boolean. I don't want it as boolean. Okay, I want it as a I want it as radio buttons, where I can choose male or female. Okay, I'll do delete. I don't want this. Let's say not required. Delete. and I'll right click here and create another property. And I'll call it gender tab. See, create and open. Now when you refresh this particular section, you should be able to see. Refresh, save. The property is not saved. Let us save. If it is in new status, it has not been saved. Let's just click save as soon as possible. Perfect. So now the property got saved. Now the section should populate and show me right options. Let me refresh here. It's still showing like this, so let's try to go here. Save. We could see that still the options were not changed, right? What we can do, we can go back to that property and say, okay, it's a text, which tells me that it's a text input. I don't want text input. I want px radio buttons here, because I want radio buttons that like male or female. I want to choose it, right? So I can say that and say px radio button. See, find it, and then once you choose that and say it's a local list, and say one option will be male and another is female. Perfect. Now when I save this and come back to my flow, to my section, and perform a refresh, do we see the change? Let's see. Right, are you able to see the change? Perfect. To verify your changes, you can anytime just do preview on the section, and you'll be able to see how your section looks like on a user interface. Makes sense? Customer details, first name, last name, age, gender, city, state. Perfect. Does it make sense? Thank you. This is a quick brief overview of what we have completed so far. We'll take it further from here. Hope you're enjoying the sessions. Leave me a comment, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.